Broadcasting from a project studio that's more project than studio. You're listening to Cinema Diabolica. And now here's your hosts, F13 and DZ.
Hey! All right, everybody. This is our special Avengers: Age of Ultron edition thing with stuff. This is Cinema Diabolica. This is a special review. This isn't what the show is normally like. So don't get all excited.
Oh my God! They got 2 in 1 week.
Hooray! I'm F13.
This is DZ.
And don't try and get all sultry. And we're going to be covering Avengers: Age of Ultron, which
one of the sexiest blockbusters ever.
Which guarantees that my friends will actually listen to this one.
I know, really. It's like, no, I don't like any of that cult shit that you do, but comic books, yeah.
Hey, we'll talk about a comic book movie all day. So, Avengers: Age of Ultron. We've seen it. I think most of you have seen it by now, so it's kind of safe to talk about it with the spoiler alert in full motherfucking effect.
And if not, hey, any Age of Ultron podcast, the episode that you see up, period, anywhere, and you haven't seen it, hold the fuck off. Be patient.
Yeah, why are you listening to an Age of Ultron review if you don't want to be spoiled? This isn't like a pre viewing episode. This is a review of the movie. We have to be able to talk about it.
We'd be doing this shit on Friday if we wanted to ruin it for you.
Okay.
And then force you to listen.
We're berating the listeners again, DZ. We have to stop.
Oh, no. Let's not do that.
Pull it back. Avengers: Age of Ultron, sequel to the original to Marvel's Avengers. This movie has been on the hype train for 2 years now. It was getting to feel like I'd already seen it. I was starting to get a little burnt out, actually. I kind of just wanted to stop hearing about it. I just wanted to see it and get it behind me and be done with it.
Yeah, I think that is the big drawback of the whole, was it Phase 2 or whatever the hell they're calling it, the whole Marvel Universe thing, is that when they have their big blockbuster movie, like, for example, the Avengers coming out, it's, we already know it's coming in the future, and we know, like, pretty much what, for the next 9 years or 2020,
right,
something like that, what's going to be coming out. So it's like, there's, just having that list, I think, is hype enough, really, at this point, that, this kind of overselling of their franchise could be kind of detrimental.
Right. So here's the thing. The just knowing what's coming is one thing, but the amount of hype and promotion behind Avengers 2 has really kind of burnt me out on it. It's just like, as someone that's as plugged in as I am, I constantly follow all the blogs and media outlets, press releases, that kind of thing. It's just Marvel was really hitting it with both fucking hammers for this one. They really had Stormbringer and Mjolnir both really fucking hammering it home, and I really started to get burnt out on all the shit and seeing with all the fucking clips being posted and all the media outlets and everything. I was just like, okay, can I just see the fucking movie and get it behind me at this point?
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the whole before the Age of Ultron finally came out. Now it's out. The weekend is over. Actually, do you know how much they grossed?
Total at this point? I don't. Let's look that up. Go ahead and vamp while I'm looking that up.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I think it's interesting that whenever it comes to these second films, like Iron Man 2 had its troubles. I think we're seeing that with this. We'll get into a bit more of that, and we can actually talk back and forth on it. But something that's kind of bugged me that I heard about earlier today is people calling Joss Whedon sexist. It's I don't get it.
I'm not going to even be discussing that because there's actual important things happening in the world right now, and even lending any kind of credence to this bullshit garbage is it's unbecoming. It's beneath me. Fucking people are being killed by the cops, and there's important shit happening in the world right now. Really, get over yourselves, all right? Fuck, stop it. Everyone is just so fucking shrink wrapped and ready in rage and ready to be offended at everything. And when there's real life happening and real important things happening, it almost feels like it's meant to take our attention away from it. I'm not going to get into
that's what entertainment is supposed to do,
right? But I'm talking about the issues and the controversies. I'm not going to get the tinfoil hat on. I'm just going to say that something's
actually
going on.
I think for some of these lame fucking comments on it that obviously missed the point. We need our tinfoil hats. Fuck these guys.
So I've got numbers. So the domestic total as of May 4th, 2015, which is yesterday as the recording of this audio file, is $204 million. 204.5 million. That's domestic. Foreign is 459.5 million, so equaling a worldwide total of $664 million.
Okay, so they made some money.
Right. They made some money. Fell short of the Avengers opening. The Avengers opening was 207.4 million, and Age of Ultron was only 187.7 million.
But that's usually the standard, as this franchise, goes out, it's a decreasing value. You have diminishing returns, so to speak.
Right.
So it's not really all that surprising. I mean, what is really a test of time or a test of its value is what happens 20 years from now when there's the Avengers box set.
Right. Yeah. The legacy, as it were. DZ, can we get an IMDb style synopsis?
We can probably do that. Let's see here. Oh, I just closed the page. Why did I fucking do that?
Good work.
I suck. All right. So when Tony Stark and Bruce Banner try to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program called Ultron, things go horribly wrong, and it's up to Earth's mightiest heroes to stop the villainous Ultron from enacting his terrible plans. Vague enough, and yet to the point.
And that's how I like it. Concise. So the movie opens. There's no there's no origin stories this time around. There's no build up. There's not even any beginning, really. It just starts right with the Avengers in a raid on a Hydra base.
Which is so wildly over the top that it's almost 2-color instead of 4-color comic style. It's wow.
Yeah, it really gets you right into it. The action just starts right off.
I did have a problem with Captain America bouncing his shield around in such intricate patterns to make him someone you would never want to play pool with. But I thought there's a scene where he and Thor basically team up, do a power team up.
Right.
And it's a direct, callback to the first movie where Thor hammers, the shield, and they get an effect that was really interesting. So now they're actually using it as essentially an attack.
Right.
Which I loved. I was like, that is awesome. Thor and Captain America as a team, as a power combo, is just like, what?
And I think that's kind of the point, is they're trying to show right off the bat that this is a seasoned Avengers team now. They know how to work together, they know each other, and they're working as a finely oiled machine.
And language, please.
Gee, that was such a fucking stupid joke, and it just kept happening.
Well, they may have carried it too far, but it was to show that they had also had some relaxation time to get to know each other. So they can make those little in-family type of jokes. The
attack is on the Baron Strucker's base. They know that he's got Loki's staff there, and they shortly find out that there are two enhanceds on site.
The Maximoffs.
The Maximoff twins. Their story comes out a little bit later, but they interact with them a little bit at first. They escape, and Baron Strucker is captured. The staff is captured, and Tony and Stark and Banner ask Thor for 24 hours, 48 hours, something like that.
I think they said 3 days in total.
3 days total to experiment on the staff before he takes it back to Asgard. And in that time, Tony discovers that the gem in the staff contains basically a fully formed AI that he can use. And they already have the idea of Ultron, a fully AI, a full real AI bot that they could use to lead the Iron Legion, which is Tony's team of Iron Man androids. in being the peacekeeping force in the world, so that they don't have to be the peacekeeping force anymore. They can just leave it in the hands of the Iron Legion, led by Ultron, and that's it. It's fine. Everything's done. Bob's your uncle. Let's go home. But it doesn't, as things tend to not do in his world, it didn't work out the right way. And who would have thought that an AI based on Tony Stark would be unstable? But it is, and it shuts down Jarvis and leaves and takes on a life of its own, and basically takes an opposing viewpoint to the Avengers, thinking that basically what he tells everyone at first is the Avengers need to die, but it comes out eventually that all humans need to die.
Yeah, this is no Gort.
This is definitely not a Gort.
Yeah, there's definitely some allusions to like Terminator with Skynet in terms of the AI aspect and the internet, because one of the Ultron's most powerful abilities is to replicate himself.
Right. And
he improves upon his design each time, and you see him do it, about 5 times at least. And also, allusions to the day the Earth stood still, but instead of, the peacekeeper being, an actual beneficial robot, it's kind of a nightmare.
Right.
And he has daddy issues, which is the interesting thing about Ultron, is that he hates Stark. Right. For whatever reason. They don't quite clarify, other than, I guess, because he's not a perfect, creation like Ultron thinks of himself. And first of all, it's James Spader as the voice of Ultron.
Yeah, best part about the movie. Him, James Spader as Ultron, and Andy Serkis as Ulysses Claw. Best parts of the movie, in my opinion.
Now, I'm wondering if Claw is going to show up later, because he really should.
No, he is, because he's the Black Panther's main adversary in the comics, and you'll note that this movie sets that up as Ultron accidentally rips off Claw's arm. That's why his name is Klaue, Klaue, but he becomes Claw, Klaw, with the cybernetic arm that he gets attached to his empty stump there, with a laser that produces sound waves that can create constructs, basically.
Yeah, he makes solid sound, and I think he actually ends up evolving into something even weirder as his story goes. I still love that they're playing with the names from some of these characters. Like, did you know the Basilisk character from I think it was from Spider-Man? His name was Basil Elks.
Oh, right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's very Golden Age.
In DC, you've got the what is it? Like Lex Luthor, where both names start with the same letter.
The alliteration, yeah.
Thank you. That I was like, oh, it's not illusion, it's alliteration. And then you've got the play on where their actual names somehow become their counterpart names for their superhero or supervillain.
Right. The in Daredevil, Leland Owlsley is the Owl. I guess in this one, his son is probably going to become the Owl, considering Leland Owlsley's dead. Oh, yeah, Daredevil spoilers as well. So, yeah, if you haven't watched that.
Oh, hey, yeah, we haven't actually discussed Daredevil now that we've both watched it. Yeah, anyway, so back to Age of Ultron.
So the Avengers attack. They're picked apart. They're absolutely fucking destroyed. They retreat, and they go and hide out on Hawkeye's farm that no one knew that he had, where resides his wife that no one knew that he had, and his spawn that no one knew that he had.
Yeah, it was a deep secret. Which basically the point of that was to show why he was fighting, why someone who's not even superpowered was going to, try to protect his family at all costs, and, to kind of ground him.
Right. As giving him a more human, fully fleshed out character.
Well, and to give him background, because we still really haven't gotten that in any of the movies. He popped up in Thor, and then he became an established character, so to speak, in Avengers, but you really don't know his history other than that he's a soldier. Right. Just like with Black Widow, you really don't know anything about her past, and yet in this movie, they give, by counterpoint to Hawkeye and his background, or at least, his current situation of being a family man, her background, showing how she was trained as an assassin, because we at the start see her as a shield, a shield of agent. Oh my God, an agent of shield, and yet her origin story takes place way before that, where she was actually a supervillain, constantly in battle with the Avengers. Right.
Well, in the films, she was a part of the Black Widow program, which was a KGB program where they took young ballerina girls and trained them in the arts of ballet and assassinry. And there's a point in the film after Bruce Banner. So in their first loss to Ultron and the twins, the Ultron and the twins, their plan was for Scarlet Witch to get into everyone's head and show them their greatest fear. And when she did that to Bruce, he went completely insane and hulks out, freaks out, runs all over the place, destroying everything. That's when we see the Hulkbuster armor. What did you think of the Hulkbuster armor?
Actually, I dug the shit out of it. I like the idea that it came from suborbit. Right.
They have this low orbit satellite that fires off all the pieces so it can get to anywhere in the globe quickly.
And there's actually like three parts to it when you think about it. There's the initial one where it tries to do a little bit of containment, where it's not part of the suit; it's just part of like the we've got to cage the Hulk program. Right. And then there's the suit overlay onto Iron Man's armor. But knowing how powerful the Hulk is, they've got backup parts, spare parts for when he gets damaged trying to fight the Hulk.
Right. So the Hulk destroys his arm, and he just fires it off of his body, and a new arm attaches to him.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty brilliant. I actually really liked how that played out, because it was like, yeah, you could say one armor, but that's really pushing it, where essentially Stark can create anything more powerful than, the Hulk or even Thor, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And the... we'll talk about that later. But there's a point. The whole point that I got around to here is there's a point where the Black Widow and Bruce Banner are talking. He is apparently she has romantic designs on him. He is pushing her away because he thinks of himself as a monster. She attempts to relate to him. She's kind of trying to connect with him and reach out to him, and he brings up the point, I can't ever have kids. I don't want that to be like, if we were a couple, I wouldn't want it to be me holding you back. And she shares with him, I can't have kids either. I was sterilized when in the Black Widow program.
Just real quick, he's not saying that he can't have children, really, that he shouldn't have children, because it's implied that he would have mutants, or
his baby
Hulk
would
babies.
be a Hulk. Yeah, it wouldn't be half human. It would just be some green rage monster. But that's, the point is, like, he can't ever have children because of that. Whatever it is that's causing you to not be able to, whether it be an excavated womb or, say, nuclear balls, either way, neither of them can have children. And that was a point that they connected on. He's trying to push her away because he sees himself as this isolated monster, and she's trying to be like, we can be isolated together.
Right. She's relating to him, and she considers herself a monster too, because she is she's a trained assassin.
Because she's a murderer, because she's killed several people who did not necessarily deserve it. And that was the whole point in the first Avengers. Like, she was talking about wanting to take some time to wipe some red off of her ledger, as it were. I liked this subplot of the romance between the two. It's not something we've seen before. I liked that it was her pursuing him and him with his doubts. It was different. You know what I mean?
And also, I love Ruffalo in general, because I think he's a fantastic actor. But I love when he goes into dork mode when he's around her.
Yeah. That was a good bit of acting on his part. I would really like to see a Hulk movie starring Mark Ruffalo, and just him. No other event, or maybe a few, interesting cameos. But I would like to see a Hulk centric movie.
Yeah, because at this point he hasn't had one. I mean, there's been Hulk movies, but don't mistake them. In a certain way, they don't actually belong at all as part of this sequence of Marvel at this point. Just like the original Daredevil movie shouldn't even be remembered.
Right, and that's the thing. I think the difference is those Hulk movies are being considered canon, just in the sense that there's no other movie to take its place.
Right.
So on to the Maximoff twins. Pietro and Wanda are children of this fictional Eastern Bloc country that was destroyed in whatever civil war was happening at the time. Their house collapsed, and there was a Stark weapons shell like feet from their head that did not explode. And when the rescuers were coming through the rubble, they kept saying that like they thought that any moment that shell would explode and kill them all. Their parents were killed in the shelling. They have a personal vested interest against Tony Stark, and that's why they volunteered for Baron Strucker's experiments to get powers and hopefully get revenge on the Avengers. And that's why also they're deciding to assist Ultron. So the thing about it is that eventually they discover that Ultron's plans include destroying the entire world.
Right. Let me say that this Olsen sibling, she's a damn good actress. Yeah,
she's been in a lot of things that I really liked. She was in Godzilla. She was in that horror movie remake. What was it called? I cannot think of what it was called, but she was in a horror movie remake that was actually pretty good. It was a remake of a Korean movie.
Yeah, in this movie, pulling off, first of all, being able to connect two characters that essentially were just introduced in this movie, and given their quick origin story, sure, as comic book fans, we know who Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are. Her powers are a bit different. In this, actually quite a bit different. She had probability manipulation in this movie, and she also actually knew magic because she was trained. But in this movie, she is telekinetic,
and with she's her telekinesis, she's able to manipulate the synapses in people's brains to make them see what she wants. So there's a very grounded explanation for her telekinesis.
Right, and she was able to convey where you see Pietro, telling why, basically kind of info dumping their origin story. You actually see it, and he doesn't totally emote all that well, and he's kind of a weird actor.
Yeah, Ford Brady from Godzilla. He is not a good actor, and I really don't like him.
He's from Kick-Ass too, and actually I like him in Kick-Ass, but in some of this other stuff,
Eminem Jr. can take a flying leap. I'm not interested.
But the old Scarlet Witch, you saw and you related to her because of the emotional situation, and I found it a joy to watch her character develop throughout the movie.
Right, she's able to facially express the hurt and like the pain that her character is in, and like the trauma and conflict that she's constantly feeling, because she knows she's doing wrong, but she feels like she has to do it because it's the right thing to do. There's several fight scenes that are long and kind of drawn out. We don't really need to nothing really that landmark happens during the fight scenes per se. Quicksilver does get killed, and it being a Joss Whedon script, I knew it was going to happen, that someone was going to die. I just wasn't quite sure who, because that's Whedon for you. He will kill off a very beloved character. I just wasn't sure who Marvel was going to let him kill. Well,
keep in mind that the agent in Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., he ended up not dying.
Well, technically, here's another thing. Joss Whedon is not going to be working with Marvel again, and I believe it's because of things like that. Joss Whedon's come out and said that in his mind, Agent Coulson is dead. That he was against all of that shit in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it wasn't his choice to let all that happen. It was not something he wanted to have done, and Marvel did it anyway. That, and like it's coming out now, a bunch of things that him and Marvel clashed on for Age of Ultron. He wanted Loki in the film, they didn't. There's just a lot of stuff that he wanted and they didn't want. So he's not going to be directing for them again, it seems like, and I see why.
Yeah, this is not a perfect movie by any stretch.
No, and we'll get to the overalls in a minute, but I don't know.
But
I believe Petra's dead. Especially because it remains to be seen, but especially because Quicksilver in the fucking X-Men movie was so much fucking better than Quicksilver in this movie.
Yeah, the explanation for his powers in this movie I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He has perfect equilibrium. What the fuck? How does that make him super fast? It doesn't make any sense.
Right? No, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm kind of glad that they killed him off, just because I don't like that actor.
Well, apparently he still has additional contracts, so it remains to be seen what that means in the long run. If this had been the original Marvel from when I remember, of course, Magneto being their father, that's why they're mutants, not experiments. There would have been a lot more, because evil Quicksilver was just crazy amazing during Marvel. Well,
technically, in the comics, they're not his kids either. There was a retcon recently where it comes out that the twins are not Magneto's children and they're not mutants. It's a retcon for sure, but that was the status quo last I read months ago.
Okay, so they're trying to smooth everything over across the paper universe.
And technically, the Marvel universe is ending soon with Secret Wars 3 or whatever it is. The battle world is formed, and the Marvel universe is going to end and then be restructured. I'm imagining in line with the cinematic universe.
Oh god, this sounds like Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's like,
it'll be exactly like Crisis on Infinite Earths, where everything you liked went away and the new status quo was formed.
We have to merge all the universes because it's just where, everyone is confused. It's like, well, why didn't we keep them separate in the first place? Well, because, we wanted to see Superman fight Superman from another universe.
Look, we can't unring that bell, damn it. We have to do it.
I know. Interestingly enough, there was a sequence even before Secret Wars where the Grandmaster made a bet with Death, and so they had all these heroes and villains basically going on these little missions and quests and shit, and I think they were actually technically in the dead realm in hell, and you were coming across characters who you'd never heard of from other countries. Like there was a character named Shamrock from Ireland, dressed all in green.
Of course he was. Why wouldn't he be?
It was a female, but she had super luck powers.
Oh, fuck me. You know what? I'm glad Disney owns Marvel now, because like when you look at some of the shit like, oh, hey, Spider-Man, his powers actually come from the Spider God. Oh, look at that. Oh, hey, the current creative director doesn't like that Spider-Man's married to MJ, so he's going to make a deal with the devil, and that's all going to go away. Poof. And it's just
protector. Boop.
It's just like, what the fuck? This is so stupid.
Spider-Man was so much more interesting when he had a relationship with Black Cat anyway.
I'm a big fan of Gwen Stacy, and I'm a big proponent of Spider-Gwen. Although what I've been hearing is that they're going to merge all the universes, and Spider-Gwen is going to be in the fucking main Marvel universe, which I fucking hate. I hate it. I liked the fact that she was in her own universe, and in her world, Peter Parker was the fucking asshole and was a supervillain, and she accidentally ended up killing him. And
that's intriguing. Now, here's something. If I were to start up a comic book universe, I would go, okay, there can only be 20 superheroes at a time, so we have to kill some off if we have some new ideas, period. They never come back.
Well, I mean, in the Ultimates universe, that's what they said. They said that like deaths were permanent, there was no magic or mystical anything, all powers were explainable for somehow, and it started off pretty well, and then it just devolved into bullshit, and now they're ending it.
Well, that's just the thing, is that anything that goes on for a while is going to collapse under its own weight. I mean, it has to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They should really structure comics like that as like runs. And after the run is over, that's the end of the story. And the next guy is starting from scratch. Like it'd be like Godzilla Millennium, the Millennium series. Every film was standalone. Every film was written as a standalone sequel to the original Godzilla. It wasn't keeping some long-ass continuity that's all contrived and mixed up at this point going. It's just they freed up everyone to tell their story on their own terms, and that was it. Anyway, back to Age of Ultron. At this point in the movie, they are getting desperate. They are trying to figure out a solution. Ultron kidnaps the geneticist that they were working with earlier in the film, and uses a machine that basically prints flesh to with all the vibranium that they stole from Irving Klaw to print Ultron a body and have it, bond with like the flesh compound or what have you. And Ultron keeps trying to upload his consciousness into it, but keeps getting interrupted. He takes what we now know as the mind gem from Loki's staff and places it on the forehead of the robot, this potential body,
android,
this husk, if you will, and goes off to fight. The Avengers are able to get the body, and Tony uploads, instead of destroying it, Tony wants to upload Jarvis into it, which he finds out wasn't destroyed, but was hiding this whole time and working against Ultron from behind the scenes. Now, here's where we see the second, because the first, as everybody's seen, seeds of dissent between Steve and Tony come on the farm where they're kind of butting heads. But at this point, they actually fight because Tony wants to put Jarvis into the android, and Steve says, "No, you fucked up enough. No more of this shit." So you actually see them fight for the first time, and it's a little like, oh shit, they're really kind of getting into this so far. The film ends with them as friends, but it is a nice precursor to the next film, which is going to be the next film is Ant-Man, but the next in continuity film is going to be the Civil War. It ends up happening. They put Jarvis into the body. It becomes the Vision. It becomes a totally new entity on its own. It becomes the Vision. The Vision is able to lift Thor's hammer. So everyone's like, "Oh, he's worthy." But then Tony's like, "Yeah, but it's a machine. If you put the hammer down inside of an elevator, it would lift." That's technically lifting it, right? Long story short, that with the Vision with them, there's a long battle at the end of the movie where they fight Ultron's army of bots. They fight him. Eventually, Petro Maximoff gets killed. The Vision ends up killing and destroying Ultron. Bruce Banner is alone in one of the untraceable Quinjets and decides that he's not coming back. He goes off on his own. He leaves, disappears, or what have you. I think that he will probably maybe not be in Civil War and make his big dramatic return in Infinity War at Part 1 at the end or some shit.
Who knows? What's interesting, and I think what kind of spells out the idea of the longevity of the Avengers as a franchise, is that at the end we see a completely new team other than Captain America and Black Widow. Tony
quits again, having never explained why he came back from quitting at the end of Iron Man 3, but he quits again to go spend time with Pepper, who isn't in this movie at all, by the way, and the new Avengers team, Bruce is still missing, Tony has quit, and the new Avengers team ends up being Captain America, Black Widow, the Falcon, who was in the movie a little bit earlier as well. I love fucking the Falcon, his character in the Marvel universe. Love him. I wish he was in this movie more. So it's Captain America, Black Widow, the Falcon, War Machine, the Vision, and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, and when you look at that team, that's like, wow, that's a big shift. They don't have a heavy hitter because they don't have Thor currently because he went off to do Thor shit. Thor Bruce left. Banner's like, I need time off.
Not time off. I think the whole thing is Bruce is doing his fucking like wander the earth alone thing. Like something's gonna have to bring him back.
Well, that's what started. Yeah, and I agree. That's why I don't think we're gonna see him necessarily in the next film. I think we'll see him, taking on Thanos. because like they need a heavy hitter.
Right.
In this case, what's interesting is the new Avengers is essentially like if you kind of look at it at one angle, they can be more of a stealth type of group as opposed to just let's pound the shit out of everyone like they were doing with the original group.
Right. So here's an interesting tidbit. When the Scarlet Witch flies in at the end, those storyboards and the green screen shoots were originally for Captain Marvel.
Really?
Yeah, they shot that stuff for that character to be Captain Marvel, but at the last minute, Marvel was like, "Nope, it's not going to work out."
Now, okay, which Captain Marvel is it? Carol Danvers, or are they
Carol Danvers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Captain Marvel will only ever have been Carol Danvers.
Interesting.
I mean, maybe they'll go through like her like origin story of like having gotten the power, the cosmic power from Marvel, but I don't know. In the cinematic universe, there's only ever going to have been her as Captain Marvel. Anyway, back to the movie. I liked it. I didn't love it. I think that might have something to do with the hype and the overhyping. I don't know. I liked it a lot. It was good. That's the most I can give to it.
Yeah, I tend not to follow the hype. You know, for the most part, you know, when it comes to a lot of these things, I'm like, I'm going to go see it. I don't need to overbuild the hype on it. So I don't look for it. I mean, every once in a while stuff will come my way because, you know, I've got friends who are interested, of course. But I enjoyed it. I think it was a lot to take on considering all the characters. And I think by comparison to even the X-Men films, it does a very good job of managing its characters.
Right. It doesn't feel overstuffed.
Yeah, you know, where in most movies, when you see a romance developing, you just kind of go, God, do we really need to have a romance? It doesn't always fit. In this one, it's actually perfect, and it was unexpected. And I really enjoyed it. The characters, you know, show a lot more humanity than just the caliber of actors that they have in this. Like Chris Evans, I wasn't sold initially on him being Captain America, but he's come a long way to change my mind on him. And, you know, anyway, so the caliber of actors that they choose for this is like they're taking it very seriously. So I appreciate that. Now, Ant-Man, not looking forward to.
Yeah, that's a really, really big, like, I don't know kind of thing. I mean, I got an open mind. They might be able to wow me. I just don't know.
It's making me think. It reminds me too much of some of the stuff that you saw for the new Spider-Man stuff and the original Daredevil.
Yeah.
It's just the comic aspect. It's like, don't really need it. You
know what it is? The sarcastic, self-referential jokes. It just makes it seem like you don't respect the source material. It's like you're like, no, come on, guys, I don't like this shit either. You know, it's just Ant-Man. That was his idea. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's for Ant-Man. But
we'll be back with an episode for that.
I'm sure we will. Maybe we should just cover all the Marvel and say fuck it. We'll even go back. We'll even backtrack some because we haven't covered them all. I'm more Marvel than DC. I did see, and the thing is that's not 100% true because there's some really good DC material that's more adult inclined, you know. So me being in love with Marvel is definitely much more nostalgic than anything because I grew up on it. I did see the trailer for the upcoming Marvel. Got Marvel on the brain. Batman versus Superman, and I am not intrigued at all.
Yeah, it looks like shit. And then the fucking production photos I've seen from Suicide Squad look like poop as well. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that. So yeah, Avengers: Age of Ultron. I'm gonna say recommend. Definitely go check it out. I just wasn't like I didn't get that childlike sense of wonder that I got from a lot of these superhero movies the first time seeing them. It just didn't do as much for me as the first movie did, even though it technically was better.
I'm not sure if I can agree with that, but it's intriguing. It's again, like I had said a while back about Iron Man 2, where that was kind of not so much a filler movie, but it's like it helps to get the ball rolling for other things that are going on. In this case, they drop a few notes here and there about what's going to be upcoming, or maybe even the side projects. Like Bruce Banner leaving is intriguing because I would hope that plays out to a Hulk movie. Thor flying off because he needs to. Oh, by the way, one of the biggest things that I had a problem with in this was Thor bathing and getting a vision.
Right. Well, that and about that scene, like that shit was chopped to shit. Apparently, like it was yet another dispute between Joss Whedon and Marvel. That scene, that whole thing was longer and like had a little bit more explanation to it, or point. As it stands, the whole thing with Selvig just feels tacked on and like, I don't know, very pointless and very like weird. Like, what the fuck was the point of any of that? Like, if the point was to set up his return to Asgard, like Avengers 2 is starting to feel like it's just like the gum holding together all the sequels. Like, yes, we're setting Thor off on his way, the Hulk off on his way. We're planting the seeds between Tony and Steve, but on its own, it's like it's good. Can't really give it more than good.
And it kind of goes back to the inevitability of things outgrowing itself and collapsing on its own weight. You're kind of getting a hint of that with this, because it's almost like it's just a commercial for these other movies,
right?
That they're alluding to. So what you're saying about that bathing Vision scene, then it wasn't just to name the Vision. It was there was more to it and maybe more informative. Okay, so is there a director's cut that is going to come out, and maybe we'll get that? Are we going to get the unrated version when the DVD gets released? I mean, these are definitely things that happen.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what the rumors are, because Tom Hiddleston's Loki character, was in the Vision as well, and he was in the movie, and they shot the scenes, but then they just cut it in the end. So who knows if we'll see an extended cut DVD or not? I don't know.
In a movie with the scope, that this should really have, this should have been like a 3 to 4 hour movie, and that would have been kind of amazing.
I don't know about that. Anyway, let's wrap this shit up. Avengers, Age of Ultron. It had stuff. It had things. It gets a very favorable review from me. I wasn't blown away by it, but I guess that doesn't always have to be the case. DZ?
I was certainly entertained. I think there's some interesting things in the works. I was actually impressed with quite a bit of the acting. I can't fault anyone in it in any way. I don't hate Quicksilver as much as you do in this one. And I think it's definitely worth watching it, and on the big screen, of course, for the the bombastic action sequences. And I don't know when Captain America learned free running, but we'll go with it. It's enjoyable. It's certainly entertaining. It was worth my time and money. So I recommend seeing it, especially if you can in the theaters. And if there's a director's cut, okay, fine, I'll rent the DVD.
All right, so that was Captain America's blah, 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 blah. All right, so that was Avengers Age of Ultron, and we'll see you back here again for Mad Max, what's it called? Rage of Fury, Anger, Vengeance?
Explosions in the desert, making it hotter than it should be.
Ow! I'm really excited for this one. I love me some Mad Max, and we're actually going to do a super episode and cover every Mad Max film in the series and finish it off with the review of the current Mad Max Future Vengeance Fury Anger.
Anyway, that'll be something. And it's Charisse Theron.
And how. So, I'm F13.
This is DZ.
Bye.
And this is your comic book moment.